Hi, my name's Amanda Ty, and this is the video portion of my second exam. What I'm going to make today is a salad dressing that I talked about in one of the discussion posts that I posted from one of the earlier weeks, and two of the main ingredients in the salad dressing are going to be lipids from our very first post of this session, and then from the last post that we just did last week, we're going to use cider vinegar. So to begin, these are my ingredients. We're going to use vegetable oil, which is a lipid, and then we're going to use cider vinegar, which is our vinegar. I'm going to start out describing the lipids to you, which is the vegetable oil, like I said. And a lipid is a molecule that contains hydrocarbon and provides energy to the cells. And some examples of lipids are fats, oils like we have here, and waxes. And lipids are soluble in only non-polar organic solvents, which mean that, like with water and vinegar, when you add oil, vinegar, and water, you can see the distinct separation between the oil and the vinegar. So I'm going to start by measuring out my ingredients for this. And it says on the packet what we need. And we're going to start with our vinegar, which we're going to use 1/4 of a cup. So I'm going to open this brand new vinegar up and get my 1/4 of a cup measuring cup and pour that in here. And then pour it into the clear container that we have so you'll be able to see easily the separation. We're going to add our 3 tablespoons of water. So I got a little Tupperware dish filled with a little bit more than we need. And I'm going to count that out. So here's the first, second, and the final one. So we're all done with our water and we're all done with our vinegar. And then the last ingredient that we need is going to be the vegetable oil. Now, the directions for preparing the salad dressing tell us to add the seasoning before we add the oil, but I just want to start with the oil so it's a little bit more obvious and there's nothing else in the way of seeing the separation. So as you can see, the water and the vinegar have mixed pretty well in there and you can't really tell them apart, but you'll see it's a totally different story once you add the lipid in there. So we're going to measure out 1/2 cup of the oil, which is just going to be 2 of, instead of dirtying another measuring cup, I'm just going to use 2 of the 1/4 cups. So we'll start off with 1. And then we'll do the second one. And if you look really closely, you can see that there's an obvious divide between the 2 ingredients. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and add the seasoning to this, which is regular Italian seasoning. And that'll all just go in there. Separated. And the reason for this is good vocabulary to know. And the 2 property words are hydrophobic, as we learned, which is water-fearing, and hydrolytic, which is water-loving, which is what the vinegar is. As we zoomed in the beginning, you saw that the vinegar and the water mixed pretty well together, which means that they love each other, which means that they mixed well. And unlike the oil, it's staying separated, which means that it's hydrophobic. So the 2 words that are most important to my experiment today are hydrophobic, which is water-fearing, and hydrolytic, which is water-loving. So as you can see, we have the 2 properties separated pretty easily. And the next thing to do is to put the top onto the container all the way, make sure the lid's on all the way, and shake it up because no one wants salad dressing that's just oil. So after shaking it up, you can tell that it's mixed up pretty well, but obviously from our experience, it's not going to stay that way. It's going to separate, and the best thing to do is just put it in the fridge, let it cool down and get to a good temperature, and then when you're ready to use it, just mix it up so that it's not just pouring oil on your salad. So today I taught you the difference between hydrophobic and hydrolytic, and I used cider vinegar, which we learned about in last week's post, and cider vinegar is basically when you take apples and crush them up and make sort of like a juice that you use for wine, and you let it ferment, and then you by using acetic bacteria, and the acetic acid and malic acid are what give the vinegar the sour taste that it does have. So to conclude, this is the product of our experiment, and as you can see, it's already starting to separate into its properties, where you have the oil on top and then the vinegar on bottom, and the pieces that are still mixed are still in between. So like I said, this is going to separate, and you'll just have to keep mixing it up right before you use it every time so you don't get a salad full of oil. And that's the end of my video, and thank you very much.